Hey everybody, my name is Morgan, and welcome back to the YouTube version of Podcast of the Dragon, where I talk about the Wheel of Time on Prime. I'm just back for another quick video before the show drops. It'll probably actually already have dropped by the time I upload this video, or if I'm really good about getting this out and the editing done, it might be dropping later on today. So, spoiler levels, I'll say spoiler levels through book 11 just to be safe. And I wanted to do another video about writing choices or changes because, as I said in my last video where I detailed my top 5 writing changes or choices in season 1, the Wheel of Time's canon makes it uniquely designed for an adaptation. Once they lay out the base principle that this is the next turning of the wheel, like the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh ages, and then the first and second have come round, and this is the third age come again. As long as they are true to the characters and true to the world, RJ himself tells us that there has been endless variety as the wheel of time turns and the dragon has fought his endless battles, 1,000 times 1,000 battles against the Dark One with the turning of the wheel. Ergo, for the most part, the show is canonically accurate. And with that, here are some season 2 changes that I have gleaned from the promotional material that they have dropped and why I think they work so well. First, Rand and Logain having an early relationship. I loved the idea of these two meeting early on. According to Yosha, Rand starts season 2 working or volunteering in an asylum or sanitarium, which I'm neutral about. I like the idea of the boys starting out the season split up. They end season 1 split up, so that makes sense. The horn has already been stolen, and there is no need to play out the events at the beginning of book 2 for a television audience, as much as it would be fun as a book reader to watch everything that plays out at the beginning of The Great Hunt. It is better narratively to do as Marcus Rutherford says they have done, which is to move it forward a few months and then show us where everybody is as the story starts. And since the events in Kyrian are by far the most significant for Rand in Book 2, all Feeder and Falma aside, having him begin there works. And having his first personal interactions with Logain be with the gentle, slightly batty false dragon rather than with this kind of hardened, healed Ashaman, having Rand have an already established relationship with him when he comes back into Rand's circle, it just makes it more impactful. Next, Avienda being the ideal in the cage. Even if that means there's no Gaul. The show needs to condense characters, and that means potentially losing characters that we find pretty significant and even those that we love. I really like Gaul. I also think that we've already seen him. When Matt empties the pockets of the Deadeye Yeoman in Breen's Spring, he has a little stone dog, which, as I said in my last video, they are connecting significant events by writing scenes that synthesize a whole bunch of material, and they also provide Easter eggs. And I think that little stone dog was our Easter egg. R.I.P. Gaul. And the living ideal that Perrin will rescue is Avienda. And this gives Perrin a chance to kill Lightcloaks and earn their ire, and maybe even kill Jeff from Bornhold so that Dane has an actual logical reason to hate him. And it will show off Perrin's willingness to make unpopular decisions just because they're the right thing to do. And maybe he'll even have conflict with the Shinerans about it, specifically with Basima. Maybe they'll all see the Aiel in the cage and they'll all be like, it's an Aiel, just let her rot. And Perrin will be like, no. And so I feel like that's a perfectly acceptable change and I'm here for it. Sorry, Gaul. Next, Moraine being in Kyrien. Moraine's presence in Book 2 is minimal, and when Rosamund Pike is your star power, you have to give her things to do. Hence, them having Ishamael shield her in Episode 8, which I'm neutral about. I'm guessing they're doing it for character development for her, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes and what they do with it. But having her be in Kyrien, I think is a great change. In episode 2, Shadows Waiting, when the White Cloaks approach, Moraine quickly tells the kids her cover story. She's like, I'm a lady from a fallen house and you're under my care, which I thought was a brilliant thing to insert right before she talks to Egwene about how an Aes Sedai never lies. I think they are going to use her being in Cairhien to give us the story of this fallen house and the stakes behind it, the stakes behind the Aiel War, and to show where Moraine comes from and why she turned her back on it. We know that they have Barthanas, and we heard the name Anvir as well as a role that's been cast, and she is one of Moraine's sisters. I think we're going to see some Domodred family drama, and they'll be able to do a ton of world building and character development, which they wouldn't be able to do if Rand's Korean companion Aes Sedai was the same one that he had in the book. Which brings me to my next change. Farron, or more specifically, this right here. I can only speculate how they're going to use Varen in the show. Originally, I thought she was going to take Vandine at Adalias's place, but I see that there was a casting for Adalias. Maybe they've dropped Vandine and it's going to be Varen and Adalias, which totally works, but holy hell, are they going to have her shank her own sister? Because that would be deliciously awful and really make us see what a mess an accidental dark friend can get themselves into. They could just cut that out, but why have a Dalius at all then? Hmm? Anyway, back to this. Because Lauren at Unraveling the Pattern thinks this is Farron's water, and I think he's right. And I've always felt that Ice and I were dropping the ball when it comes to elemental weapons. Why can't they enchant their warders' weapons? Though I feel like using fire is super dangerous because it could get out of hand so quickly, and that ice would be better. Either way, it seems like a great workaround for the three oaths, since making metal flame or freeze is a morally neutral act, and the capacity to do it would probably depend upon the moral flexibility of the Aes Sedai, because those three oaths are tricky. Maybe the oaths would keep a yellow from being able to cast elemental weapons, but a white would totally be able to do it, and for a gray, she would have to take it on a case by case basis. Who knows? And finally, Lanfear the skinny innkeeper. Her creeping and peeping and likely murdering an innkeeper and burying her in the basement and maybe even taking on her appearance, like maybe Natasha O'Keefe is only playing Celine and Lanfear will be played by someone else. Or maybe they'll give her a special hood when she's in her Lanfear mode. Anyway, all of this being an innkeeper in Cairhien, and that is plausible Lanfear behavior. And it's narratively much simpler than her damsel in distress in a mirror world shtick that she uses on Rand in the book. She's still a creepy cougar, and she's even creepier because she and Rand are obviously physically intimate. I'm assuming they bone, but even if they're just making out, that will make the gross creep factor 1,000 times worse because it's a much greater violation than when she's just giving Rand awkward boners in the book. It makes her not just the crazy ex girlfriend, she's a predator. And non book readers, lots of whom, watching the trailer, immediately knew that she was bad news, will see her that way. And we get our Easter egg, the skinny innkeeper that you can never trust. So here you have it. Some clear changes in season 2 that I can see from promo drops and why I am here for them. I'll be filming reacts and getting them out as fast as I can. Please like and subscribe. Listen to the podcast if you are cool with full spoilers and like the books. And I recommend listening to episode 12, Conversations Kill, if you would like a detailed take on the fallout in Cairhien in book 12 and how everything devolves just from Rand minding his own business. Take it easy.